Hey, we're here with the guys in Young the Giant. What's up, guys?
How you doing?
Thanks for coming in.
No problem.
How you doing, Mike?
How's it going?
Thank you for having us.
What's up?
Jacob.
Oh, yeah. You guys are Jacob, Francois, and Samir.
Yeah.
So, guys, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, sure.
No problem.
First question right off the bat would be, I get like a lot of Roadrunner CDs in the mail, and interview a lot of bands on Roadrunner, and you guys definitely stand out. Why did you guys decide to go with Roadrunner, and is it weird being on a label that has a lot of really heavy bands on it?
When we first got the offer from them, and when they first expressed interest, we were really, really confused. And more than anything, we're just curious as to why they wanted us to be a part of them, because we didn't even know in the beginning. We had a meeting with them at South by Southwest 2 years ago in Austin, and we had like a long conversation with them over dinner, and it seemed to be that like all the things that they wanted to do, they wanted to branch out, try something different, and we provided that for them, and we also want to try something different, so this was like a perfect partnership, I think. And yeah, we don't sound like most of the other Roadrunner bands, but the team is really, really passionate about us, and they care, and been working a lot with everyone around the country and the world, so it's been really fun.
Do you guys like metal? Anybody in the band a metalhead?
We used to be. I think like we all went through that teenage angst kind of scenario. I think since then we've kind of moved on, but we do sometimes watch some Slipknot videos online. Raises a couple smiles.
Yeah.
Have you guys crossed paths with those dudes yet? They're pretty nice guys.
No, we haven't.
Considering that they're like scary as shit.
Yeah. I mean, we might have met them, but we would never really know, I guess.
Yeah, I guess this is true. So let's talk about your record. Well, let's go back to that South by Southwest period of the band, because you guys have been a band for a long time. So talk a little bit about the Jakes, and then becoming Young the Giant, and then getting signed. So that sort of, I guess it's a 6-year span. So I mean, these songs are older songs, right? You've had these songs for a while.
Yeah, well, it's about a 3.5, 4 year span, and we did start as the Jakes, but the original lineup, which started in 2004, only had the original members of Jake and I. So since then, it's changed a lot and it's diversified, and that was mainly the reason why we changed our name to Young the Giant, because we started in high school just as a garage band. We didn't even seriously play anything, and then we released Shake My Hand Together as this current lineup, and then consequently got signed and decided to change the name, and that's when it all started. So I mean, we have been playing for a while, but I think it's like really, I guess, counted, and we've considered ourselves like a full-time band for the last 3 years, 2.5 years.
Cool.
Yeah.
So are you guys like super comfortable with this record now, I guess? I mean, how many of the songs were around, before even the name change?
Well, a couple of the tunes that are on the record now were around when we were still the Jakes. And actually, we released them on an EP, the Shake My Hand EP.
So like Cough Syrup?
Yeah, Cough Syrup and
Garens.
Garens are the ones that made it onto the record.
And even 12 Fingers, still the Jakes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, basically, 12 Fingers was the first song that we wrote with like this lineup. So that one goes back a while too, but we're really comfortable with all of the material. We came to know it so well during the recording, like the pre-production, recording, and post-production process. And we've played these songs so many times. We've been touring like very heavily since last April. So it's really hard to kind of differentiate between like the different periods that the songs are written in, because at this point it's kind of all the same to us.
Yeah, fair enough. So you guys sick of playing these songs yet, or what?
I mean, there are definitely points in time where we'll play a bunch of shows in a row, and it's not so much playing these songs specifically as much as it is just being tired. And so we kind of just get sick of the whole process. But overall, it's still fun, and the songs are still really fresh to us, and we have the opportunity to kind of change things up every once in a while. Like not in a huge way where the audience can necessarily pick up on it, but small changes that kind of make things new for us.
Yeah, I guess when you're live, you can play certain things different and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Have some fun with some shit.
Yeah.
I guess I have to ask about My Body. Did you know when you were writing the song that you had something that was going to connect with people in the way that it did?
It's funny because I don't think we did. We knew that we'd caught onto something because it is the most aggressive song on the album, and we now realize that we can go sort of in that direction. But our manager was staying at our place for a day or two at that time, and we were just jamming upstairs. And we actually wrote the song on a jam, so we wrote it in like 10 or 15 minutes. And he was downstairs, and he had just been sitting downstairs quietly the whole time. Right after we finished the first jam, he runs upstairs, and he's like, "That's the hit. That's the hit. I know it is." And we're like, "Screw you, Ben, shut up." Because he's just so like, record industry about it, like, "That's gonna be the hit, the hit." But, I guess
we sent the demo out, and then that was kind of like the reaction all across the board too, is everyone was really excited about it. And actually that song came really late in the writing process for us. And there was not necessarily pressure, but they were talking about coming up with one more track that kind of stood out, and we were just kind of sick of hearing about it, so we wrote this almost over the top, really aggressive song, kind of joking about it. And then we listened to the demo and we're like, all right, well, this doesn't actually sound that bad. And then everyone came back to us and was saying like, this is it, this is awesome. So
it's funny how it works, I guess.
Yeah, it's impossible to predict how those things turn out, It's weird.
I guess, first of all, talk about the importance of the beach, because I read a lot about how much, the beach, and it does sound, like that sort of landscape. How did you achieve that? I guess the layering?
Well, I think like it came to a head because we produced the record with Joe Chicarelli, who is amazing at creating like good sonics, soundscapes, and I think
Grammy Award winner.
Yeah, multiple Grammys under his belt. But after we'd been with him and lived at the beach, I think that's kind of where we knew that we wanted to go a little bit, and we just wanted to kind of capture the time that we spent together at the beach, be that like lyrically and also sonically, and I think that definitely like kind of just like helped us, give us a little bit of inspiration of like where we wanted to take the listener and like paint a picture, I guess. So
yeah, I think when we first took time off of school to do this, we moved into a place together in Newport Beach, and all of us are from the surrounding areas, so we're very familiar with the ocean, but that was the closest experience I think that all of us have ever had, being so close, because we were right on the peninsula. Literally, you could walk 15 steps and be right by the beach, and that most definitely changes your outlook and your perspective on like your priorities, on what you want to do for the day. It's like, I could go outside and get some shit done, or I could just lay on the beach and hit on girls, or do whatever, or drink, or just swim. And I think that was a really important and like fun, amazing time for us. So it's something that we really wanted to capture.
I guess artistically, I mean, when you're that relaxed, does it open you up, I guess, a little bit to stuff?
I think,
in retrospect?
You know what, we actually didn't really get anything done while we were there.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, exactly right. Really what we end up telling ourselves and those people around us is that served as a period of inspiration for us. So when we all moved to Los Angeles after that to work on the record, and we were no more school, no more work. It was strictly devoted to writing. And I think we were buckling down, but we had this extended period of time where we had been doing nothing and just kind of lounging about all the time, and that really helped to, I don't know, I mean, a lot of it was kind of subconscious, but it was, it's like an experience that we could have never, ever had any other way. Yeah, it's definitely not a productive period of our life.
You mentioned Joe, and what did he specifically do, that kicked your asses?
Well, the first thing that we didn't know going into the process was that we were going to do live recording. And so for these guys, that was, like a pretty intense feat. It's a very like old school band setting. We went to Sunset Sound in Hollywood, and that's where, like the Doors and the Stones did a lot of their stuff. So it like has so much history and a lot of pressure almost, because you're at such like a historical like place to record, as opposed to just, our living rooms and our garages that we've been used to recording in for so long. So just I guess that idea was like an extra incentive, but Joe just like really like kicked us into
He's very honest.
Shape, yeah.
He's a very honest person. We had 2 weeks of pre-production before we went in the studio, and we found out right as those 2 weeks started, that's when we found out we were going to be doing it live. Like every other recording we'd ever done was all kind of like, you do the drums, maybe the drums and bass at the same time, and you layer everything. So there's a lot of room for error, basically. and recording everything live just doesn't really give you that liberty. So, you know, if we weren't playing up to snuff, which we definitely weren't for the first while, he would tell us just straight up, like, this isn't good enough, you guys need to work at it.
Mode.
Yeah, exactly. So
He'd, you know, like, he's such a funny guy. He'd just blow up sometimes, like, freak out, and just storm out, and we'll be like, oh, okay, I guess the session is done for the day. I was like, I hope he doesn't quit tomorrow, but, you know, it's just the way he is.
yeah, and you know, in the end, like, for the most part, he was a really, really great guy to work with, and he's obviously like super inspirational because of the stuff he's done. And I think those little outbursts were what we needed to kind of scare us straight and scare us into the right kind of frame of mind.
It was also like super dramatic when he'd blow up, because the first thing I ever noticed when I walked into Sunset Sound is how quiet it is in there, because we were living on Sunset Strip and we were recording on Sunset Strip pretty much, and it was noisy all the time. You'd fall asleep and you'd just hear God knows what going on in the alley outside. And then we walked into Sunset Sound and you could honestly hear a pin drop because it's so insulated. So if he blew up and then stopped talking, it would literally be like complete silence.
Deafening.
So you're just like,
so great.
yeah.
Yeah, we know that some of it has to do with just his character, but a lot of it I feel like had to do with his wisdom, like trying to be like the Mr. Miyagi type
Art of War
person. When we went back to visit him, we hadn't seen him for a while, because normally, like, after you have a relationship with a producer that's so close, you kind of get tired of each other and you don't want to talk to each other for a while. So we had that like long period of no talking, and then we went into Sunset Sound because he was recording, a friend of ours, and he went in and it was just kind of a big reunion, and he was so happy and like very, very proud of us, and it seemed like, you know, okay, you guys have graduated from, you know, like my academy.
Yeah,
Nice.
seriously.
I mean, you mentioned that recording it live. I guess that's where, you know, these days everything's so perfect. You know, was that appealing at all? Just the fact that, you know, you could make a mistake? And
I think, if anything, it's kind of set like the bar higher for our future, because like we realized that, like, obviously if you want to record digitally, it sounds great, but if there's also that option of recording in analog.
yeah.
And I think that's what we kind of set our eyes on now, is that we can, if we like push ourselves and become proficient enough at our instruments, and for the next record maybe we do it live again, but this time actually have it sound even richer and stuff by actually recording on tape. So like,
Yeah, I mean, we should specify, like, we recorded live, but it was digital, so if he needed to push stuff around a little bit, yeah, he could. So we definitely still had that leeway, but it was definitely just nothing like anything we had ever experienced before.
Cool. So do you guys feel like you're on this ride right now?
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, just seeing, like, I think things go so fast, and we're doing this every day, and there's a lot of logistical bullshit to deal with every day, that you kind of get lost in just the day-to-day and don't realize like what's actually happening and what you're doing. And, you know, sometimes you'll just like have a day off, and then you like look on your website and see like where we're going in the next couple months, and it's just so exciting. We're going to places I've never been to before, that my parents have never been to before. Like, have stories for the rest of my life just going there at one time. So very, very excited.
I have to ask your craziest story so far. like, you know, moment when you were like, this is out of a cartoon, or this is just completely ridiculous.
Yeah, we've had actually
had a lot of.
Paul McCartney was.
Paul McCartney comes to mind, yeah.
There are a lot of
Please
absurd
throw Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I think
Time we hung out with Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I mean, we should explain Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
We had a showcase for a record label that wasn't Roadrunner, and we went to this like kind of studio space they had it set up so we could just play for the executives and all that stuff. And we were walking up to our room, and we saw all these road cases, and it said McCartney 1, McCartney 2, McCartney PA, all this stuff all over it. And we're like, there's no way it's Paul McCartney. We figured it was some other McCartney. So we went out to the van like Justin McCartney. So we went to the van to, you know, just kind of prepare for the showcase. And as we were walking back towards the door, we saw there was 2 chairs set up, and Paul McCartney was eating like an egg salad sandwich, just like taking a break from rehearsal. And I mean, we all just lost our shit. I think it was Eric, who's our other guitarist, was the first one to gather himself and walk up. And he introduced himself, and as soon as we saw that, you know, we could actually talk to him and we wouldn't explode, we all kind of walked up. And I recall Jake and I were just kind of shaking like little schoolgirls.
I remember it, yeah.
Yeah, he was really, obviously, he's been around a bunch of people, and I'm sure a lot of people who are even more starstruck, so he was really very gracious and personable, and he talked to us for like 10 minutes or something.
I remember Eric told him that we're big fans of his music, and he's like, good to know you guys have good taste.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like the Beatles?
Yeah, seriously.
Sorry.
I also I wanted to ask you guys, you know, what are you listening to right now that people out there should check out?
I've been listening to the album Lesser Matters by the Radio Department. I think it came out in like 2003 or something. A friend of mine introduced me to the band and said I should listen to that one. It's really great, kind of like lo-fi indie rock a little bit with a girl and guy singer. I don't know, it's just really good for like those long drives where you kind of just want to mellow out a little bit. The Phanogram record is pretty fantastic.
I've been listening to a lot of James Blake recently. He's like super young and like has a lot of promise. We saw him at South by at the Presbyterian Church, and it was just absolutely amazing. That was really cool. So I've been listening to a lot of him.
The Leaky Lee album.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's been great.
Yeah. And then there are always those staples that like we never get tired of listening to, like Radiohead and Broken Social Scene, you know, Canadians, and for me personally, Feist. I'm obsessed with Feist.
Another Canadian.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Speaking of Canadians, Francois.
Yes.
Okay, I have to ask this because you guys are based in Cali, right? So, but you're You're French Canadian.
Yeah, I was born in
And
Montreal.
you're from.
I'm from the UK.
Yeah,
originally.
England. So, were you guys? How did you, like, you know what I mean? I didn't realize. I just thought you were all these like Californian dudes.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of like similar stories, really. Like my dad ended up getting a job in Cali. Like I moved around a good deal when I was a kid.
Okay.
And the last place that we ended up moving to was Southern California when I was in high school. So we all kind of met in Irvine, which is where we moved to. But I've been all around. And I know Jake is kind of the same story.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because you have the weird.
Yeah, I moved when
accent
I was
going
12, and my 2 younger brothers picked up American accents, and I got stuck somewhere in between. So when I go home, I don't belong there, and when I'm over here, I still get asked the same questions. So just gonna set up a little island, I guess.
But the ladies love it.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's got the little British
You and
thing
Francois
going
are
on.
also wearing the same sweater.
I pointed out. That's kind of, all right, yeah. No, so you got good style, man.
Yeah, thank you. You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys.
You too.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in. Cheers.
Do the
Best of
explosion
luck.
again.
ExploreMusic wears English Laundry apparel.